in looking at some of the data, depends on who you look at,
Yeah.
received the vice president received over 60%
Yeah.
of the
Yes.
votes
Of vote.
of the ballots for the presidential
Yes.
election.
Yes.
But there was a third of the Commonwealth that did not.
Mm-hmm.
That's is that a growing percentage nationally for elections where the Commonwealth has seen this other side Republican rise in, or is it just like, you know what, they're going to be some, we have them here,
Yeah.
and they're going to vote for their national candidate as well as their local, because locally they're spread out down at the Vineyard Cape area was a stronghold at one time.
Yeah.
Now they are, are they mobilizing?
So I'll say this. My first job in politics was working for Ted Kennedy, and I worked for him for 14 years. It was a great experience. There's about 30, he understood very well, there are about 32% of the Bay State who would never vote for him under any circumstance.
Right.
Under any circumstance. He still won his elections, so that was fine. So there is that piece, and that's okay too, to have a base of Republicans. There was the real concern in 24 for us was in places like Fall River and in Lawerence, where the Republican share really grew. Fall River voted for a Republican candidate for president, Trump, for the first time in 100 years.
Wow.
And it was very concerning. We've spent a lot of time since then down there working with the local committee and people down there to try to understand. And a lot of it was on the economy. And I think so a lot of people thought, and I have a neighbor in Lancaster who told me he voted for Trump because he thought his life was going to get better. And that it was better under him the first time. He said to me very clearly, he said, look, I understand you're probably going to tell me that it wasn't.
Right.
But that's how I feel. And I tell Democrats all the time, you can't win elections by telling people how to feel.
Right.
You have to hear them and talk to them about issues. And we've done that over the last year. And that's why I think you saw huge wins across the country and here in Massachusetts last Tuesday, because voters, even voters who voted for Trump, understood that he is not there for them, and that the Democratic Party understands them and will fight for them. We're imperfect. We are an imperfect party because we are made up of people who are by nature imperfect.
And it's a bigger tent. It's
a much
wide
bigger tent. Yeah, it's super easy to say I'm going to do whatever Donald Trump tells me I'm going to do.
Right.
That's super easy. Just follow that.
Right. There's no Thaddeus Stevens for the Democrats.
Good callback to Thaddeus Stevens. That's good.
That's my guy. Well, Frederick Douglass is my guy.
Of course, yes,
but the idea of a rallier as aggressive as a Thaddeus Stevens was, sorry guys, I'm like totally off. But the idea of somebody to rally people to push the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, to get that energy going in a time, in a period where people stood on what they stood on. There was no opportunity for fake news.
Right. And it was unfortunately, we always say this is the most divisive we've ever been. Thought Thaddeus Stevens served in Congress during the Civil War. I mean, there was literally a war dividing our country, and somehow we now think that this is the most divisive we've ever been.
That's why I always say, look at your history. This isn't, we can get through this.
We can get through this, and it's going to be about 1,100 and something days until the next president's sworn in. We can do that. And more importantly, we've got about 356 or 7 days until the midterm elections, which, everything... my husband and I bought a really old house during the pandemic, and a lot of projects come with a really old house. And at one point he said, oh my God, it's too much. And I said, what's the best way to eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
And that's what we have to do. As activists, that's what we have to do. We have to organize on our street corner, at our kitchen table. We have to organize with our friends. We have to organize in our labor union. We have to organize in our church. We have to do those things to work on city council races and school committee races and mayoral races and state rep races and on the way up. Because if we do that grassroots organizing, which is what the chair of the DNC really understands, because he's an organizer at heart, if you do that organizing, it bleeds up and out and can help us win at the top level. If you structure a DNC, which used to be